Hi everybody, this is Megan Reads and I'm here to, you guessed it, talk all about books. Welcome to October. Ooh, I wish I was wearing something spooky and super colorful, but it's laundry day, so not today. But I got the very first book that I've read in my October TBR and I'm super excited to talk about it with you. You ready? Drum roll, ladies and gentlemen. I'm tapping my desk. I'm sure you can't hear it, but I'm tapping it really hard. Okay, it's a physical book Within These Walls by Ania Alborn. Oh my god, this book was insane. It was so good and so creepy, and actually the perfect book to start off my Halloween creepy scary vibes with. It was a big book, as you can see. 440, I'm gonna put this down, 447 pages. It was a really big book. It was so much fun. I read it in 3 days, and actually I'm a little surprised by that because I thought, oh, this is gonna be a 4-day, a 5-day. I really want to like take notes and really pay attention, which even before I started doing this, I always took notes when I read books so I can keep everything fresh and remember everything. Like I've said in my trailer, I am pretty busy. I have a kid, I have a husband, I have cats, I have a dog now. So it's just lots of crazy going on here. So if I don't take notes, I might forget a little something, and I hate when I forget things so bad. So this book, wow, I'm so happy that I picked it up. I actually got it at Barnes& and Nobles a while back, and it was on sale, and I had never heard about this author before. So when I picked it up to read it, obviously, I flip around, I look at the back cover, and it says that she's an author that's been around for a while. Never heard of her before. She's an indie horror writer. So I will most definitely be checking out more of these works. Actually, I kind of already have, because I have 2 of her books now on my Kindle like wish list situation that I'm going to get to at some point in the future, because there's like 200 books on that list, so it's a little insane, just a tad. But this was so friggin' good. It's very, I don't want to give too much away. It's a horror book, obviously. It's 447 pages. It's about this guy named Lucas Graham, who him and his daughter Jeannie actually go to this house, and they stay there for 2 weeks. I want to say 2 weeks, but I could be a little off on the date there. I think it's 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Yeah, it is. I'm remembering as I'm saying it. They go there for 2 weeks, and they go there all because this guy, Jeff Halcombe, basically sends Lucas a letter. He's a writer, and Lucas is a writer, and he hasn't been doing well in the last couple of years. He sold some books, he's a true crime writer, but he hasn't really had a big hit in years and years. And he believes because of that, his marriage is suffering, his relationship with his child is suffering, never thinking it could be just him, not the fact that he is a writer and not selling so many novels. He gets this letter from Jeff Halcombe, who was a notorious serial killer. He had a killing spree in 1983, and they found him actually in the house with 9 other dead bodies surrounding him, including one woman that he most definitely killed, who, gory detail, was pregnant, and the baby was actually taken out of her stomach, and that's when they found him, the police. He has been arrested for almost 30 years, and he's never spoken about it, never talked about it, never said anything, and tells Lucas, if you come and you stay at my home where this whole atrocity is committed, I will give you an exclusive interview. I'll do the book deal. We'll do a whole thing, and you'll be #1 again. Isn't that what you want? And he kind of exploits the fact that he needs this. He really needs this, and he thinks this is my big shot. Nobody's done a book on him. He's never done an interview in 30 years. He didn't even speak in court. So he's like, this could be it. This could be everything. And in some ways it is everything, let me tell you, because, well, Jeffy here, he's a lot. He's a lot. In 1983, when he killed these people, we also go back and forth to the young woman that was actually butchered in that house. It was originally her home. And she was very famous. Her father was a governor at the time. So it got lots of news. This book is a lot. It's very sinister. If you ever seen that movie Sinister with Ethan Hawke, I suggest to check it out. And if you're a fan of that, then you will most definitely be a fan of this. If you're a fan of Stephen King's creepy books, a little unsettling, then you'll definitely be a fan of this. There are points in this book that are actually told by Audra Snow, who was the young woman in 1983, one of the young women that was actually murdered, and what she went through, how everything happened. It leads up from about a little over a year before the sacrifice happened. So you get to meet Jeff when he was younger, how everything came to be what it was. And you're also looking now with Lucas moving into the house, what it's doing to him, and most importantly too, what it's doing to his daughter, who is slowly falling under Jeff's spell, just like everybody else did. There's very Charles Manson vibes in this, which he's actually compared to Charles Manson a couple of times in this. And before the comparison started, I was like, oh my God, he's like Charles Manson. And then the next page was like Charles Manson. I was like, well, okay, at least it's aware of itself. It's aware of what it's doing. The writing was amazing. It was so creepy, so scary, kept me on the edge of my seat. Like I said, big book, really big. Loved every minute of it. I loved how it was told. Also, there are moments in this book where there's actually news clippings from the 80s and the trial that happened. That was really interesting to see. The past from Audra Snow's point of view was really interesting in 1983. Then now, lots of ghost elements, lots of horror. And also, this book begs a question. How much would you do for success? What would you risk? How much does it all matter in the end to you? And for Lucas, it matters a lot. It matters so much that he uproots his life and the life of his daughter for a couple of months for the summer, thinking that nothing bad could happen, nothing bad could touch him. And it's really delusional to feel that way when this man was able, without touching anyone, to make other people hurt themselves. Very much like Charles Manson. And that's exactly what's happening in this book. There's twists, there's turns, but you also know when you're reading from Audra's perspective what's going to happen to her. And it's sad. It's sad to see her mental decline. It's also sad to see the people that Jeff chose and why they were lost. And you, as messed up as some of them are, you emphasize with the fact that these were kids. They were 16, 17 years old. I think the oldest in this, that was one of his followers in the 80s, was like 23. Even then, 23 years old, come on, I'm 32. And let me tell you, I mean, even now, there are some moments, somebody can get in your head. Somebody can do that to you. And I can't imagine if you were in your 20s or teens and going through a lot in your own personal life. So creepy, so scary, so, in my opinion, well written. Moments of it are graphic, but I wouldn't say it's enough for me to give you a trigger warning exactly. Everything that happens in this book, except obviously the murder, is more or less as messed up as it is consensual in one way or another. No R words in this book. I would definitely tell you about that. But there are some iffy culty situations, because there's a cult in this book in the 80s. That's more or less what these people were, that all, excuse my pun, drank the Kool-Aid around Jeff, who was like the Charles Manson, as I've said before. And they did, it's not a spoiler, it's on the back. I can say that happened. That's what this whole book is about. But creepy, scary, really well done. I'm definitely going to check her out. Ooh, let me not cover the name. I'm definitely going to be checking her out more. This book, the ending was so good. I don't know why I'm whispering, but the ending was so good. I cannot recommend it enough. Very Stephen King's vibes. Like I said, Charles Manson references, cult from the 80s, very interesting. Such a good time. And I'm so happy. This is my first one for October, my first ever book that I've read, that I'm going to be sharing officially with you guys. And obviously there's going to be some more books within this video. I'm going to add in clips as I'm done with the books for this first week. So this is book 1 within these walls. The next book is going to be 56 Days. And I'm really excited to read that. That will be on Kindle. A lot of these books are Kindle editions. Like I said, I live in New York. And space is a problem. Okay, this is a backdrop. Space is a little insane in New York City, so lots of Kindle books, unfortunately. But this was a physical book, and I'm gonna look at my thing right here. Stay Awake. I have Stay Awake over here, which I'm definitely going to be reading, and that is a physical book, so at least two I can guarantee are physical. The rest are probably going to be Kindle, but when I do this, I'll obviously insert the picture as I'm talking about it, so if you are interested in the book, you know the author, you know how many pages, you know everything, and we'll go on and on from there, but this is the very first book. It was wonderful. I cannot recommend it enough. I am so excited, and I hope that you like it. I'll see you guys later. Hi everybody, it's me, here to talk to you about the second book that I've read, 56 Days by Catherine Ryan Howard. It was so friggin' good. It was such a ride. It was so many twists, so many turns. I really, really, really loved it. For those of you that don't know, 56 Days takes place during the COVID-19 pandemic. It actually takes place in Ireland, and it's told in dual perspectives. So it's told in what happened starting 56 days ago when this couple met for the very first time, all the way until today. And today is when these two detectives are actually investigating a body found in this apartment building that's decomposing and wondering what the hell happened. So it's told from the perspectives of Sierra and Oliver, the couple, when they met, how they got together, their story, and how they met and kind of fell in love during the pandemic. And due to those circumstances of them starting to date then, when they were told they had to stay in their homes, they decided, hey, let's move in together. Let's see what this is going to be for 2 weeks. Well, 56 days later, there's a dead body in the bathroom that they cannot identify. They can't tell at the beginning if it's a female, if it's a male, just that it's a dead body. How did it get there and what exactly happened? So that's basically the story. We're doing dual perspectives of Sierra and Oliver, their lives separately, then how they met, and also we're following the detectives, Lee and Carl Connolly, which, let me just tell you already, love it. My last name is Connolly. So I was like, oh, well, there you go. Can't forget Carl's name for anything. So good, so well written. It was really interesting. Lots of twists. Some that I was like, okay, I see this coming. This is definitely going to be a plot point here. And then others that I was insanely shocked by. Now, did it have a good plot? Yes, it did. Was it creepy horror vibes? For me, not exactly, but thriller vibes for sure. And creepy because you don't know how this person died, what exactly happened, what transpired in these 56 days. At the beginning, all you're told is that there's a body. So you don't know, is it Sierra? Is it Oliver? Is it somebody completely different? Did they kill somebody? Did they hurt each other? So there's a lot of thriller situations going on, which to me, super scary, super creepy. Absolutely loved it. I read it in 3 days. I just thought it was really well written. I love that it took place in Ireland. When I originally got it, I wasn't sure, and then they started talking about Dublin, and I was like, Ireland, I'm Irish. Enjoyed that little situation as well. I thought the writing was really good. I thought it was really interesting. I felt the tension in this book. There's a lot of tension. There's a lot of would've, could've, lot of misdirection, which I really enjoyed. I thought that the characters themselves were written really well. I also thought there was a lot of give and take in their relationships, and then also seeing the perspectives of them by themselves. And you actually get to see the perspective on each of them, how they met each other, and what differs a little bit. There's lots of things being hidden, lots of secrets, some that at the beginning I was kind of sensing, and then others that I was like, oh, I didn't see that. I didn't see that at all. It was really good, really well written. I really like Sierra a lot as a character. I thought she was really interesting. Her motivations were questionable at times, but I also found them really engaging. There's also an aspect of another mystery. I don't want to give too much away because it's not actually said in the synopsis, but there's multiple layers to this book. There's multiple mysteries to this book. And let me tell you, this book is not long. It's 312 pages. So you are getting your bang for the 312 pages because there's constantly something going on. You're never bored. Also, I I love detective books by nature, so I usually always enjoy reading from the cops' perspectives. These two cops were friggin' hilarious. I loved reading Lee, I loved reading Carl, I loved seeing their dynamic together as partners. Also, another thing that was really interesting about this book for me was them talking about the pandemic. This is one of the first books that I've actually read involving the, you know, pandemic that happened to all of us, and hearing how it's talked about. Let me tell you, they got it right on the money. The fear, the confusion, the lack of understanding, like what's going to happen the next day, and also the feeling at the beginning of, this is going to pass, this isn't going to be anything, and seeing the 56 days of quarantine also, and what that does to somebody's psyche, what that does to a person. I live in New York City, so COVID here, the restrictions were really crazy. I was actually pregnant during the COVID-19 situation. So it was actually interesting to read from Ciara's point of view, especially of her being like, oh, I've never seen something like this. Like my mom's never seen something like this, and the terror that she felt, and being outside and being like, there's nobody here. And feeling that isolation and being alone and like literally staying in your house for days on end. And I thought they handled that really well. I thought that was really honest and really truthful. I thought everything about it was just done really, really well. Personally, I just enjoyed every bit of this book. I thought Oliver was a really interesting character and really dynamic. I liked him. I also loved him and hated him all at the same time from the beginning, more or less. So that's not giving anything about any character away. I just thought they were all written very interestingly and very different. So their voices never got confused in my head. Nothing ever got muddled between characters. I also like that this book does not have a lot of characters. So you're really focusing in on Ciara. You're really focusing on Oliver and the detectives, and there are little other characters sprinkled about, shall we say, but it's them. That's basically the entire book is about them, their wants, their needs, what's going on, who died, how did they die, and the whole situation of how they met, even why they met. It's this whole can of worms. Would I call it horror? It's my October horror book, so I want to call it horror, but I think thriller. Thriller is definitely what I'm going to call it. And I know that Catherine Ryan Howard recently did the book Run, so I'm going to definitely be thinking about reading that sometime soon in the near future. I really, really, really loved it. I love that this book flips back and forth from then to now. I really enjoy that a lot. I love how the book is told. I think the writing is really well done. And overall, I think it was a really, really good time. I would recommend this book. I would recommend this book to anyone that loves a good mystery, anyone that loves a good thriller, and anyone that loves a book that makes you think one way and then twists and turns into another. I love when that happens in books. So that is the second book that I've read during my spooky Halloween. And see, look, I'm wearing a black shirt. I'm getting creepier vibes here. Will I wear something creepier in the next one? I don't know. I don't even know what I'm going to read next. That's going to be a totally surprise when we go to the third one. But I hope that you check this book out, because I got to tell you, it was really good. I've had it for a while, and I'm so happy that I finally actually read it, because it was wonderful. I'm looking up at the sky and I'm realizing from this angle you can see into my nose. Sorry about that. But everything was really good, and I will see you guys in the next clip with the third book. Bye. Hi everybody. I'm back to talk about book number 3 that I read. It was super good. Just Like the Other Girls by Claire Douglas. It was an interesting book. It was really interesting, really creepy. Basically, it takes place that there's an ad put in the paper, and it's for a companion for this elderly woman who's in her late 70s. And this woman named Una Richardson sees the ad, and she's recently lost her mother, so she's living all by herself. Well, she's by herself. She's not living by herself. She's living with her best friend, actually. almost forgot that part. But she feels alone in the world. And when she sees this, she gets excited, and it's to go work for this older lady, but to live in her home. She has a very big, beautiful house with all these rooms. She seems like a nice enough lady. Her daughter, Catherine, doesn't seem so nice, but she doesn't live there. She's in her late 50s, and she lives with her family, but she visits her mother, and she's excited about the job. Now, it's a live-in position, so she stays there. She has Wednesdays and Saturdays off, I believe, and she's like, this sounds great. Great money. I don't have to pay for rent. I don't have to pay for anything. This seems like the dream. And it is a dream until she realizes that count it, two other women that were companions died. Not only did they died under mysterious circumstances. One was hit by a car that was never found. And the other one was fell off the bridge. So they don't know if it's suicide. They don't know if it's murder. They're actually not really sure. And now there's Una in the middle of it all, wondering what she should do. Should she take the job? Should she not take the job? She obviously ultimately decides to take the job, or we wouldn't have a story. But that's basically what happens. Did these two other women die under mysterious circumstances? What happened? Is it because they were companions? Did this older woman who she's working for have something to do with it? Does her daughter? And another creepy thing, all of the companions look exactly alike. Why is that? Like, that just screams some creepy vibes for me, and I'm loving it. It was a really interesting story. I thought the characters were really good. I liked Una a lot. I liked her as a narrator. I liked hearing from her perspective. She's young. She's 22 years old, so she's a little naive to some things. I'm not gonna lie, a little naive, but it wasn't naive at 22. Let's be honest. She's just lost her mother, so she's going through a struggle. She just broke up with her boyfriend. The only person she really has is her very close friend that she was living with, Courtney, who was her childhood friend. I love Courtney. That bitch. I like her. I like how she thinks. I like how she talks. I like that she's telling Una, don't do stupid shit. Go to the police. And Una's like, I'll handle it myself. Which never ends well in these books. So it's like, somebody just listen. Courtney's like the voice of reason. And I like that in a character when you can find it. There's a lot of twists, lots of turns. This book is actually told in multiple perspectives. It's told from Una's perspective. It's told from the daughter Catherine's perspective. A little bit, every so often, it's told from, I hope I'm saying her name right, the older woman, Elsbeth. It's kind of like Elizabeth, but a little off to the side there. So I'm going to say Elsbeth. She's very old, so maybe that's what they used to, that's how they used to say Elizabeth. I don't really know. There's an unknown person that speaks every so often, and it's a little creepy. Somebody's watching Una. Somebody's seeing what she's doing. Somebody's comparing her to the other girls, and you're like, is it the killer? Who's the killer? No idea if it's a man. No idea if it's a woman. No idea if it is Catherine, if it's not Catherine, if it's some unknown person we don't know in the book, or we meet till later. I like that. And then later on in the book, we are introduced to two other characters that do perspectives in the book. Courtney, Una's best friend, and Willow, a character that I don't want to say like who she is, because that would give quite a bit away actually in this book, and I don't want to do that. But she's a character that you meet about the halfway point of the book, and she's a pretty important character. It's a really, she's interesting, I'm not gonna lie. I like her. Now, did I like the book? I liked it. It was really good. I thought it was interesting. I was captivated. I was riveted until about the 50 point. When it got to the 50%, I was interested. And there was a twist. There was a really big twist that I actually liked. I was like, okay, you don't see this done all the time. This is interesting. And then I still liked it for another like 10%, 12%, but I started to feel that this book was a little draggy. It's 395 pages, so it's not a small book by any means necessary, and I hate to say it, but it feels like 395 pages. Would I call this horror? Yes, I would, because there's a lot of horror aspects to it for sure. Women dying, disappearing, they all look the same. What could that be? There's a murderer on the loose. Is it this old woman in her house? I mean, is the woman crazy? I mean, there's some stuff to figure out there, which I'm interested in. Also, there's flashback scenes to 1983, I believe, which I like the flashback scenes. With Catherine, you see her growing up and the house and how her mother was, and that's a really interesting little take that I like. I love a flashback scene. I really, really do. I think there were some interesting characters. I liked Una. I liked Courtney a lot. I liked Elsbeth. I did. I liked her as the older woman. She was a little confounding, and a little uppity for my taste personally, but at the same time, I liked that about her. I felt like there were layers to her, so she was an interesting character to read about. I liked Catherine a little, but she was kind of one-dimensional in my opinion. I thought that as the daughter she could have been written a little bit better, and I felt at times she came off very whiny and actually sounded far younger than what she was supposed to be as an older woman in her 50s. I felt she read a little like 32, 33, so which is my age, so that's probably why I thought that. The girls were all young. Una herself is only 22, and the two other people that passed away was 23 and 24, so they are written very naive like in their way of thinking, like, oh my god, all this money and all this stuff, never thinking it's too good to be true to live in this house for basically free. Don't know about you, but I would have been just a little suspicious of it, just a tad, but I thought it was really well written. I did enjoy it, but the writing was good. The writing was solid. I did think, though, it was an average story with an interesting twist. Like, the story itself wasn't something I've never heard of before. The twist I liked in the middle, which if and when you read it, you'll see what I'm talking about. I thought the whodunit aspect of who the murderer was really interesting. Didn't see it coming, but I didn't see it coming because it wasn't an option really that much, so I think that kind of took away from it a little bit to me. I was struggling on what I would even rate this book. I was going back and forth. I'm not going to give my rating here. I'm not doing it. I am giving my rating at the very end of the month on all of the books that I'm going to be reading, but I thought it was really good. I'm sorry if I look a little tired and a little like drawn. I have a cold, and that is my cat's tail just walking right by, because I'm sitting on the floor because I'm not shutting on my computer and doing all that today. So it's an interesting setup happening here, that's for sure. But I thought it was pretty good. It was an okay story. I thought the characters were good. It was good. I would recommend this book. I wouldn't not recommend it. Is it one of the best books I've read lately? No, but it's good enough. It's good. It's a fun time. I thought the characters were fun. I liked most of it. The ending, the very ending, I felt was very drawn out. It was drawn out by, honestly, not like 1 page or 2. It was drawn out by like 20 pages, maybe 30. I just thought it could have been wrapped up so much tighter and neater and with a lot more pages, and it would have had more of a punch and been more dynamic, and it just wasn't for me personally. I've never read from this author before, but I am going to check her out. Claire Douglas. I've heard things about her. I actually have a couple of friends that have recommended other books by her that, oh, my hood fell off, that I am most definitely going to check out, but it was good. But I'll be honest with you, it's one of those books that when you read it is good. When you're reviewing it, it sounds good. But I'll be honest, in about a week or two, is it a book I'm going to remember? Probably not. But that's my review on this book. I didn't want to give too much away. I never do. At some point, I'll give more away, probably. Like, I'll do a whole like, in-depth one on all the books that I've read and, like, actual spoilers and the whole nine, but I don't really want to do that right now with all these books because I want people to read them for the spooky season, so. But it was really good. I did enjoy it, and I'll be seeing you guys soon with another clip. I don't know what I'm reading again, so the next time you'll see me, it'll be about a whole other book, and hopefully I won't look as pale. I put on lipstick to attempt to look like a human because I'm not feeling very well, so it's not going good. But I'll see you guys later, and I hope you like the review. Stay tuned for the next installment when you see me again. Bye. Hi guys, I'm back with book number 4 to talk about. Very exciting. This is Remember Me by Amanda Rigby and Sally Rigby. I have not looked this book up like a lot about like information or reviews or anything. I like to go into a book blind more or less. So I wonder now as I'm looking at like the authors' names, I wonder if they're related. Oh, I'm a blonde, as you can tell. I just now noticed that maybe they're related. That's all right. A little late in the game, but this book was good. It was good. It all centers around the main character, Paul Henderson, and he's working at a school. He's a teacher. He's actually hoping to get a promotion to be that head something. This takes place in England, and it's a lot different than our school system here, but I know the head is a really good thing in that situation. So that's what he's looking to do. He's dating a wonderful girl named Jenna. He's actually expecting a baby. He's been with her for 2 years. He's really excited, and then all of a sudden he goes on social media and he sees his ex-fiance Nicole has posted that she's back. She's back in town after having been in Australia for 2 years. He's seeing all these pictures and he's starting to get really nauseous and really sick, and he's not handling any of this news well. And at first you're like, oh my god, he must still be in love with his ex-fiance who broke up with him, or he broke up with her. You actually don't know. Well, there's a little bit of a hitch here, and it's in the synopsis, so this is not giving anything away. You go into this book knowing this from the back of the book, basically, is there's a problem. You know, she's posting online, she's looking everything up, and it's just a little weird because she's dead. Yeah, she can't be posting. She can't be saying she's back in town. She can't be excited. Excited for what? She's been dead for over 2 years. And how does he know that? Well, it's pretty easy. He killed her. So, as you can see, we start this book off with a very big bang of what the fuck. Because he killed her 2 years ago. He found out something not so well. He blacked out. He disposed of the body. And now 2 years later, she's claiming to be back. Notes start appearing. Jenna starts getting these calls, these hang-ups. Letters start arriving in her handwriting. Things are being said in messages that only she would know. And he's starting to wonder, maybe I didn't kill her. He had a really troubled childhood when he was growing up. He was in and out of foster care. He actually got diagnosed with a dissociative personality disorder, so he just forgets things. He has these blank spots in his head. So now he's starting to wonder, did I kill her? Maybe I didn't. Is she back? Why is she back? And if she's back, what does she want? And I think it's pretty early on we realize what she wants is to cause a whole lot of fucking trouble, because that's what Nicole seems to be very good at. This book is really good. It's written from the perspective of Paul and everything that's going on with him, and also written in the perspective of Jenna, his girlfriend, his long girlfriend, who is the new woman. You know, she's been with him for 2 years. All she knows is that they were engaged and she left. And it's like, okay, you know, she left him at the altar. She feels, because they're not engaged and they've been together for a while and now she is pregnant, that she has to live up to her. She's perfect. Nicole was gorgeous and smart and long-limbed and skinny and all this stuff, and she's just not exactly that. So she keeps feeling she has to compete, when in reality Paul loves her in a way that he never really loved Nicole, because they have a genuine, honest relationship. This book is a thriller. This book is a mystery. This book has a couple of misdirects. I thought it was well written. I liked a lot of it. It's not a long book, 310 pages, so you can get through it pretty quickly. I got through it in 2.5 days, so it was pretty good. As far as a real mystery or a real thriller, for me, I'm sorry, but it was really average. It's a book that I'm going to forget about probably pretty soon. The premise was interesting enough that I didn't think I would forget about it soon. I thought, oh, that's a cool little twist. Like, obviously it can't be her. Wait, and then you start reading it and wonder, well, can it? You don't really trust your narrator, which is a nice feeling. You know, when you don't trust the narrator, you're going into it just as excited and blind as anything. So that's great. I thought the characters were interesting. Jenna drove me fucking crazy sometimes because she kept comparing herself to this person, and I don't really get it, because Paul never talked about her like she was amazing and perfect. I guess it was just in the look stance, because she was tall and dark hair and pretty eyes, but apparently Jenna is written as a knockout herself, and everybody thinks she's beautiful, so I'm just a little confused of the comparison. If she was she keeps saying that she's frumpy because she wears sweaters, so that's a little in that case most of us are frumpy. I mean, I'm not British, so maybe it's different there. Okay, maybe sweaters is like the kiss of death for good looks. I don't really know. Here it's New York and it's cold, so we like sweaters. But it was good. It was an interesting enough book. It kept me entertained. I'll be honest, at about the 70 percent mark. I was getting fucking bored though. I was like, okay, I get it. She's alive probably. That's great. But why would she come? It was just weird. I was like, why would she just come back after 2 years? Like, why would she give a shit about you? Honestly, she seemed like an ass from everything that everybody was saying about her. I mean, a little tick, tick in the head a little bit. Okay, I'll give you that. But everything else, I was like, really? Why the fuck would she give a shit what you were up to, you random guy? It just, it didn't make sense to me. Most of the characters I did enjoy. I did like Paul for the most part. I liked his backstory. I liked why he was how he was. I liked seeing his descent too. He was a normal straight-laced guy, and all of a sudden he starts drinking. All of a sudden he's turning to prescription pills to be able to cope and to sleep and to deal with his mind and what is fractured there that's been that way since he was a child, and he's never dealt with it properly. Seeing his trauma and how it manifested from a child, I thought that was very interesting and well done. I also liked him and Nicole, how they bonded when they first met, where they were both children that grew up in foster homes. So they both had very sad, troubled lives, and they connected on that. And sometimes I feel in books, when we're supposed to feel connected to the characters and their quote unquote romance, it's based on like just superficial looks. And this, it was about that too, don't get me wrong, but it was also based on who they were as people and feeling like nobody could understand them the way that they could, like they were both broken in that way. And at least that part made it a little bit more interesting for me. I liked the rest of the side characters. I thought they were pretty good. To be honest, what the twist was, maybe I've read too many thrillers and mysteries in my life. Actually, I know I have. I've read many of them. But I saw the twist coming a mile away, and I think what it was for me wasn't that I saw it coming, because I've seen many of these kinds of twists coming in books, and I'm still like, I can't wait till it gets there. It's going to be fun. But it was written so much, and then nothing. It just laid there, flat. It was like, oh, this is the big shock. This is what the frig I've been reading 310 pages for. It just didn't do it for me in the long run. I thought it was kind of average. The ending was very basic. I did like some of the reveals of what did happen to Nicole and his mindset, and if it was playing tricks on him, and if what he thought was real, and what he was seeing, was it real, or was it his mind being fractured more from past traumas. That was really interesting. I liked how that was done. I liked the character Allison. I liked the character Bridget, the next door neighbor. But honestly, those were the only characters besides Jenna that I felt were more like put together, and even then Bridget was kind of one-sided in some aspects, so I wish there had been a little bit more work done on her. I think that would have been really good to see. I found it predictable, obviously, what the big twist was. Like I said, I saw it coming pretty early on. I got really boring towards the end, I'm sorry to say. It was an average writing, and it was an average thriller. It was not great, but it wasn't bad either. I would recommend this book to many people, especially, that's the police outside. Sirens. I would recommend it to many people that are maybe new to thrillers and don't know all the twists and the aha gotcha moments as much as someone who's been reading it for a long time does. But it was good. I am not giving my rating. I'm not giving it till the end of the month when I do my wrap up on all of the videos that I read in the month of October. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first week reading done. So, let's wrap it up. We have read 4 books, which I think is pretty impressive for the first week. I think it's pretty good. I'm excited to see next week where we go. I would love to give you a teaser of, I'm going to read this next. I don't know yet. I have the list. It's basically like, just give me the piece of paper and I'll just point at it and go, there we go. That's basically how I'm figuring it out, you know, very intelligently. Just pointing and closing your eyes. But I had a really good time. I hope that you really enjoyed this. And hopefully you check back out next Friday for the second video in my month-long thing. Hopefully if this goes well, I actually think I'm going to continue to do this every month. It gets me talking to you guys more, gets more opinions, more book recommendations, and gets my face out there more so we can all see each other and talk and joke around. But I had a good time. I liked this book. I liked all the books. There wasn't one book that I read out of the 4 that like I hated. There was one That was my jewel, and we know what it was. It was obviously the first book I read. That was my everything. I love that book. And I think after that, it was so high that we really didn't have anywhere else to go but down. But even then, we didn't go down that far, you know. I'll give you a little tidbit. Nothing here was a 1, okay? I'm pretty sure we expected it not to be a 1, because I would have been way more angry in my review if it was a 1 or a 2. I'll tell you that. So, but we'll see. We'll see what next week brings. I'm really excited. And I cannot wait to see you guys next time. I hope to find you in the next video. Happy, healthy, and of course, reading. Bye.